I think you can start, Alan.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Yulee. So good evening and welcome to the Town of Eastchester Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for February. It is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. I call the meeting to order, and at this point, I usually go over the ground rules very quickly. Firstly, the meeting is conducted under Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Order. Secondly, for new applications, and now that we're heading, believe it or not, towards spring, any applicants who are considering coming before the board should be aware that part of the terms and conditions of the application require that any new application is heard and it's considered and not decided upon on first time on. So anything considered in March will not be decided upon until April at the earliest. So again, we meet and our schedule is printed online once a month, generally the second Tuesday. We do not meet July, August, and December. Okay. Now, some items we dispense with because we are meeting tonight virtually, remotely, via Zoom. So items like the pledge and the roll call are not possible. So those will be dispensed with this evening. Now, to the minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 12th, 2021 ZBA meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Secondly, there are two applications that have been adjourned to the March 9th, 2021 ZBA meeting. That's application 21-07, 23 Clubway, and application 21-09, 65 Joyce Road. Those have been adjourned on consent to March 9th, 2021. Now,
Alan,
yes.
This might be obvious, but I actually received a couple of calls about both of these applications. So I just want to make clear that that means they will not be discussed tonight. So if anyone's watching the meeting for those, they won't be heard. That might have seemed obvious, but.
Thank you, Mrs. Yulee. No, that's okay. Clarification never hurts. Now, for the one item that is still open to the public and the public hearing, just so that you understand, the applicant and board members generally speak firstly, then we will open or leave the public hearing open. So if you'd like to make a comment, you're going to use the raise hand feature on Zoom or *9 if you are calling in from a phone. Our town attorney, Robert Tedisco, will acknowledge you and invite you to speak. Please unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record. Okay? Okay, so on to item number one on our calendar. I make a motion to approve application 20-37, Immaculate Conception Church Arch Care. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan. To the vote, Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
He's on.
Mr. Miller?
You're muted.
He's on mute.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Nerzia?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
I vote yes. The application is approved 5-0. Item number two, I make a motion to approve application 21-0133 Stewart Place. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. DeMarco. To the vote, Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nerzia?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
I vote yes. That application has been approved 5-0. Next item is 21-02, 32 Lakeshore Drive. This application is on for resolution, but the applicant has made a modification to the application. So what I'm going to do is invite the applicant to explain the diminishment of the application in terms of the impervious square footage. So the applicant may proceed.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Stephen Accinelli from Veneruso, Curto, Schwartz, and Curto. Good evening. Just to recap, there were a number of concerns that were raised at the last meeting. And as promised, I did go back and meet with my client and our engineer, Ralph Mastromonaco, and we are happy to report a couple of updates that are reflected on the revised drawings that were submitted to the board. Number one, there are no proposed fire pits, not one, not two. There are 0 proposed fire pits. In addition, we were able to decrease the proposed new impervious surface by 717 square feet, which is about a 35% reduction from that which we had proposed originally. So the new impervious proposed is 1,334 square feet down from the original 2,051. And as depicted on the revised drawings, we were able to eliminate the paved area generally between the proposed pool and the proposed stairway, and we've done away with that. So we're happy to report that we were able to make that change, which we hope is agreeable to the board. In addition, we also added at the northern boundary of the property, running east-west, the line of Douglas fir trees that will act as a buffer relative to the adjacent property to the north.
Dave, can you share the screen so that we can see what you're talking about?
Sure. Ralph, with the board's permission, Ralph?
Yeah. Do you see that?
Not yet. Maybe there's a delay, maybe, Ralph. Oh, there we go.
Can you see that?
Not yet, not the plans.
Let me try again. Let me try. It says share screen. Still, you don't see it?
No, we're just seeing your file list, Ralph, not the actual drawing. There we go.
Oh,
Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, so as I had mentioned earlier, if you look roughly in the center, just to the right of the proposed pool, we red bubbled all of the changed areas, and on the diagram itself, you could see that area roughly in the center is where we've eliminated 717 square feet of impervious surface. And then going to the north, we included the proposed Douglas firs on the high side, and then we've got boxwood and lower shrubs to fill in the gaps. In addition, and it's not showing up, but we did bubble the changes on the calculations and on the tables. You can see those there to reflect numerically the changes that were depicted on the drawing. I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman, if the board has any questions regarding the revisions, but we don't have any further comments regarding the changes from last meeting.
Okay, yeah, I will throw it to the board briefly, but I just wanted to let you know, I appreciate you highlighting the changes because the board has been given these documents and they are a part of the public record, but I think it needed to be explained because we had closed the public hearing at the last meeting. Didn't seem like there was much opposition, and you went ahead and you diminished the impervious surface nonetheless and also improved screening. So let me go to the board. Mr. Cahalan, do you have anything?
just to thank them for the submission and for doing what they did. I think this is the applicant and his team did a great job. I think this is a much better application right now.
Thank you, Mr. Cahalan. Mr. Miller? Mr. Miller?
No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Nerzia?
No questions.
Mr. DeMarco?
No, nothing.
Okay, I have nothing. So as we may recall, this is a two-part application. There's first going to be an interpretation, a ruling on an interpretation, and if the interpretation is in favor of the applicant, then there won't be a second part of the resolution. If it isn't, then we're going to hear the variance and we're going to make and resolve on the variance. So my first part is with regard to application 21-032 Lakeshore Drive for interpretation of section 9P of the zoning law. I make a motion to rule in favor of the interpretation made by the Building and Planning Department as described in the letter from the building inspector to the applicant's engineer dated September 15, 2020, and revised December 21st, 2020. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
I'll vote in favor of it.
Mr. Miller?
Yes, in favor.
Mr. Nerzia?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
I vote yes. My motion has been approved 5-0. With regard to...
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but may we take the shared screen down?
Yes.
of course.
Oh, thank you.
So with regard to application 210232 Lakeshore Drive for an area variance, I make a motion to approve application 21-0232 Lakeshore Drive as amended and submitted this evening. Is there a second to my motion?
I will second that.
Cahalan, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nerzia?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The application's been approved 5-0. 0. Sorry. Sounded like a sportscaster, 5-0. 5-0. Thank you for your presentation and also, again, more applications should be concerned even after getting a favorable response from the board on trying to minimize variances. I appreciate what you did.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, last item on the calendar. This is item number 4, 21-0348 Harney Road. And just as a recap, the public hearing was left open on this matter, and the applicant has submitted a revision to their application. So we're going to ask the applicant to describe all of the revisions made to the application, and then the board will have an opportunity to be heard with questions or comments, and then the public will have an opportunity to be heard. So please proceed.
Can I just say something? I'm not sure whether we're provided with a list of people who plan to present, and other than the applicant, Lucy, I don't see anyone else that represents the applicant. Lucy, is there anyone else that's going to be joining you? And if so, can those people raise their hands so that I can promote you in order to be able to participate? Lucy, do you know, are you doing the presentation or do you have anyone with you?
No, Dave Barbute's supposed to be here.
Okay, I don't see him on the list of attendees unless he is viewing under a different name.
No, he said he would be there. He called me the other day to say he was going to be presenting.
Yeah, and I don't have Dave participating at this point, and nobody else is raising their hand, you know, as if he were here.
Blaze, can you call Dave right now? Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Okay.
He's going to join right now.
Okay?
Tell him to go on right now.
Okay.
Okay, he's coming on.
Okay, he's come on.
I think because last time we were last, maybe he thought there were other people. Who knows? He's coming.
We run a serious operation here in Eastchester. We don't fool around.
All right. I get that. Thank you. He'll be right on.
Mr. Cahalan, just so since you inquired, there are 5 attendees aside from the panelists.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Is he on yet?
No, not yet.
Please text him again. He said he was jumping right. I had a little trouble getting on before. I don't know why, but maybe he is.
You really can't, you don't get on until we kind of promote you, but now that we're in the middle of the meeting, he should be able to get on very easily. Here he is.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, great. Thank you. He's on, Blaze.
Okay, he should show up in a minute. There he is.
Sorry about that, Margaret. Members of the board, I was running behind schedule.
Are you prepared?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so please proceed.
Okay, so basically we're here tonight. We were here last month with the owners of the property, and they decided to remove the back portions of the deck to eliminate 2 of the variances. So the only variance that we're here tonight requesting would be for the setback to the pool. We're required to have 10 feet, and unfortunately, it was constructed because of the smaller yard. We're at 5.1 feet, so we have a deficiency of 4.9 feet, which is roughly a 49% here.
David, can you show the plan, please, the revised plan?
Certainly. Let's see if that's it. No. Hold on 1 second. Can you see that?
Yes.
Site plan? Okay. So basically, pool is in the same location. We eliminated the deck that basically went almost to the property line. We have a smaller deck on the side, basically on the east and west side of the pool. So the deck on the right-hand side is roughly 11.3 by, looks like it's about 10 feet. And the one on the other side is much smaller. which is roughly 13 feet by probably about 6 or 7 feet.
Okay. So thank you for the spatial orientation. Is there anything further you'd like to add to the presentation?
Not at this time.
Okay. I'm going to throw it to the board for questions or comments, but before I do that, Mrs. Yuli, did the fire department have an opportunity to look at the clearance on these side structures?
They did not, but their concern is typically between the pool and the house. So this, I don't think they'll have a problem with this. It will be referred to them. But typically what their concern is the distance between the pool and the house.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but there's
side
20
structures.
Oh, those aren't the decks, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that they have not reviewed it, but that would not be an issue for the fire department. But I'll confirm that with them.
Thank you. Okay, so comments or questions from the board? Mr. Cahalan?
Nothing.
Mr. Miller?
None.
Mr. Nerzia?
No questions or comments.
Mr. DeMarco? Mr. DeMarco?
Let's see.
He's back.
He should. There he is.
Mr. DeMarco, any questions or comments? Actually, Mark is calling me on my phone through the magic of technology. Hold on. Mark? Okay. Maybe he's trying to get back into the meeting, so he called me
Technical
accidentally.
difficulties.
He's in the meeting.
Is he? Oh.
Yeah, I can see him, and he's.
I see him as plain as day.
I was gonna patch him back in. Okay.
Now he's gone.
Yeah, we lost him again. He must be having some difficulty.
Okay, yeah, he just texted me. He can't hear anything. Okay. Well, I think Mrs. Yuli, Councilor Tedisco, in an
Yes.
instance like this, I'm not going to relay via text to him. So how do we have a voting member who can't be heard or seen?
Well, he's had an opportunity to view the application.
Right.
He's not required to speak on it. You're not going to vote on this till next month. So he's joining now, but even if he couldn't, I don't think that would be a problem.
Okay.
He would still be able to vote on the application under any circumstances, even if he missed the meeting, just based on the transcripts.
Okay. Fair enough.
So we're going to
Mark, you with us or? Okay.
He's coming. He's connecting.
Okay. Yeah. But he said he couldn't hear anything, so that was my major concern.
I'm back.
Good.
back.
Okay. Welcome
I
back.
didn't miss anything.
What's
I
that?
didn't miss anything. I didn't miss anything.
No, you didn't. miss anything.
I was watching on TV.
Do you have any questions or comments from the applicant?
No, thank you.
Okay, I don't either. The public hearing has been open, so I'm going to ask the public if anyone has any interest in speaking on this application. Please come forth, state your name and address for the record, and be heard. Counselor?
Yes, if there are any members of the public that wish to address the board, please use the raise your hand feature and I'll invite you to unmute yourself. Mr. Chairman, it does not appear that any members of the public that are listed wish to address the board on this application.
Okay, so I make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. DeMarco, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, back to the board. Mr. Cahalan, any final comments or questions?
Yeah, I think we should just put on record that we did get a letter from one of the neighbors regarding this application.
Okay, and yet, Mrs. Yuli, that is part of the record, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cahalan. Anything further?
No, nothing.
Okay, Mr. Miller, any comments, questions?
No.
Mr. Nerzia?
No.
Mr. DeMarco?
Nothing.
Okay, then I have nothing further. I make a motion to adjourn this matter for resolution at the next meeting. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you to the applicant for your presentation. Okay, so the next meeting will be held on Tuesday, scheduled for Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. And that is it for this evening. I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Second.
Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.